Mick Mars, born Robert Allen Deal on May 4, 1951, is the lead guitarist for American heavy metal band Mötley Crüe 1/4. Career: after his family relocated from Indiana to California, Robert Deal dropped out of high school and began playing guitar in a series of unsuccessful blues-based rock bands throughout the 1970s, taking on menial day jobs to make ends meet. After nearly a decade of frustration with the California music scene, Deal reinvented himself, changing his stage name to Mick Mars and dyeing his hair jet black, hoping for a fresh start. In April 1981 he put a want ad in the Los Angeles The Recycler newspaper, describing himself as a loud, rude and aggressive guitar player. Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee contacted him and after hearing him play decided he would be their guitarist. Upon Lee's prodding, he persuaded a former high school friend of Lee's and local rock and roll singer frontman, Vince Neil, to join. It was Mars' suggestion that the band be called Mötley Crüe 1/4, a name that had stuck in his head from his days as a member of a band called White Horse. One of the band managers walked into the room and said, "Well, isn't this a motley-looking crew?" Mars often uses a metal slide in his soloing and takes on both the rhythm and lead guitar duties of the band. In the studio and live, Mars frequently tunes his guitar down a whole step to get a stronger and crunchier rhythm sound. The altered tuning also increases string slack to enable his characteristic hammer-on trills, pitch bending, and pinch harmonics during soloing. He also introduced the pedal steel guitar to many of Mötley Crüe 1/4's later recordings and live sets. After an occasional split of Mötley Crüe 1/4 in 2001, Mars dealt with worsening health problems and depression, and reportedly gave up guitar playing. Mars' situation improved with the reformation of Mötley Crüe 1/4, kindling the desire to play again. Mars underwent hip replacement surgery in the autumn of 2004, followed with intensive physical therapy. Despite his precarious health condition, he was able to perform in the Carnival of Sins tour in 2005 and the Root of All Evil tour with Aerosmith in 2006. Mars has contributed songwriting to John LeCompte, the former member of Evanescence and the other band members of Machina, and to the Swedish band Krasna Et. Their second album entitled The Unattractive Revolution, was released on October 3, 2007 and featured 2 songs co-written by Mars. Mars played lead guitar on the title track of Hinder's 2008 album Take It to the Limit, and contributed a guitar solo to the song Into the Light by Papa Roach, on their 2009 album Metamorphosis. Mars also contributed a guitar solo to the song The Question in Rockstar, Supernova runner-up Delana's US debut album Inside Out. In 2010 he co-wrote a song with Escape the Fate for the band's self-titled album, which was instead withheld from the album and reserved for a later release. He has been photographed, on his MySpace, with the Murder Dolls as he will contribute to their upcoming album Women and Children Last whilst recording material for his debut solo album in the same space. Health: for most of his professional career, Mars has openly struggled with ankylosing spondylitis, a chronic, inflammatory form of arthritis that mainly affects the spine and pelvis. It was initially diagnosed when he was 17 years old and has increasingly impaired his movement and has caused him a great deal of pain. This led to hip replacement surgery at the end of 2004. Over the years, the illness has caused his lower spine to seize up and freeze completely solid, causing scoliosis in his back and squashing him further down and forward until he was a full 3 inches shorter than he was in high school. Family: Mars is the second of 5 children of Tina and Frank Deal, and is the older brother of Susie Deal. With his first wife, Sharon, he has 2 children, Les Paul and Stormy. He also has a son, Eric, with former longtime girlfriend, Marcia. Mars was married to Emmy Cannon, who was a Mötley Crüe 1/4 backup singer on 2 tours. Mars and Fi McNasty have been in a relationship since 2007. Equipment: guitars, Gibson Les Paul Customs for 2 Fast for Love shows 1980 to 1982. Gibson Les Paul Custom, BC. Rich Warlock, Hammer Blitz, Gibson Flying V and Guild Flying Star during the Shout at the Devil Tour 1983-1984. Kramer Explorers, Kramer Berettas and Kramer Pacers during the Theatre of Pain Tour 1985-1986. Kramer Custom Shop Telecasters during the Girls 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 Tour 1987-1988. Kramer Custom Shop Mirror Top Telecasters and a variety of Berettas and Custom Shop Kramers during the Dr. Feelgood Tour 1989-1990. Fender Stratocasters and Telecaster, Gibson Les Pauls, Charvel Super Strat and Paul Reed Smiths during the Decade of Decadence shows 1991-1992. Fender Stratocasters and A. Jackson Soloist during the Ma Paragraphed Lee Crüe 1/4 E Tour 1994-1995. Gibson Les Pauls, Gibson Chet Atkins SST 12-string and Fender Stratocasters as main stage guitars for Generation Swine shows 1997, Greatest Hits Support shows 1998-1999, Muta 2 Tour 2000-2001, Carnival of Sins Tour Root of All Evil Tour 2005-2006. Effects, Amps, References. External links, Mick Mars official site, Ma Paragraphed Lee Crüe 1/4 E videos, Ma Paragraphed Lee Crüe 1/4 E official site, Mick Mars guitar rig and equipment setup, Mick Mars at the Internet Movie Database.